So the way that we talk about ourselves is we're a design studio, and that is because essentially top tier high fidelity, super high fidelity design goes through everything that we do. I think that like experimentation at its absolute core, and then we have this initiative called Future Play, which is 2 to 3 days a month, all the artists across the studio. We try and do it in sort of EPs and production as well, but mostly for the artists, 2 to 3 days a month where they just get to explore anything that they want. I just think for me, it's just really exciting to see how fast the technology is developing, but also like I find myself in this kind of halfway point where I feel like as things develop, and it ties really nicely into what FutureDeluxe believes, which is the fact that like it's an amazingly powerful tool. I don't think it's going to replace all of the other kind of legacy tools that we have, but it's something that you shouldn't ignore, and it's something that in the right hands can create amazing things.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Nimble Talks. I'm Fabio, and today I'll be speaking with Andy Hopkinson. How's it going, Andy?
All good, thank you. Thank you very much for having me. Looking forward to it.
My pleasure. Andy is the executive producer at FutureDeluxe, the creative studio that is really focused on future forward creations and embracing AI and other technologies in general. So I think we're going to have a good time here today. Yeah. So before we start, I usually like to ask my guests what kind of tools they've been using. So both text to text, like ChatGPT, but also image and video. So what kind of tools have you been using lately?
Yeah, so been using Midjourney for a long time. I can't remember which version I started with, but back when you could only use it with Discord. So been using Midjourney, for a really long time. Runway as well is my kind of go-to video generator, but have been playing around with Sora as well. But I'm used to kind of the way that Runway's working. We've got a great partnership with them. I'm used to how that's working. And then on the kind of LLM side, I mean, ChatGPT, the amount it knows about me now is, a little bit scary.
Especially with the infinite memory now. It's just scary. Amazing and scary at the same time.
I'm so happy because I feel like the amount of like data I've given it, I want it to be like hyper personalized. But I often joke that if there was a table of like users, if I'm not in like the 0.1%, I'm going to be really disappointed. I'm using ChatGPT every day for everything, using deep research loads, using it in all different areas of my life. Used Claude a lot. I did have a subscription on Claude. I stopped that recently just because ChatGPT was doing everything that I needed it to do. But I do think that like Claude's ability to code and for like very intricate technical details, I do prefer it over ChatGPT. Been playing around with Gemini a lot. I feel like it's there's some really interesting stuff happening with Gemini. I feel like I've just invested so much in ChatGPT now. It's going to take something quite special to make me, swap over to something new. But the other one I can't live without is Perplexity Pro. Absolutely love that. Like using that with DeepSeek is fantastic. Really good for analysis and everything like that. I use that for like research. If I'm going to be speaking to someone for the first time, I should have used it on this. But like I say, right, I'm going to be meeting this person. Can you tell me about their career and what their highlights are and things like that? And you get such a great insight. It's super useful for that. But also just like things like I read a news story and then I just want to dig into a little bit deeper around the context around it. I find it just so handy for that kind of thing. So those are the main ones I'm using. There's some really interesting stuff that people in the studio are using, but I haven't used personally, like Comfy UI and Flux and Korea and a whole multitude of others. But for me personally, those are the kind of main tools I'm using.
Awesome. I've been through the same experience when it comes to Claude. because Claude back then was really great, and even comparing to ChatGPT, it was way better than ChatGPT in terms of creative stuff like
Yeah.
copywriting, stuff like that. For some reason, I just stopped using it completely
Yeah.
because I think at some point, to be honest, probably happened the same with you. At some point, it was like there's not much difference, so I just stick
Yeah.
to one tool, ChatGPT, and then go for that.
100%. And I think we're gonna see more and more of that happen, right? At the moment, there's
Yeah.
lots of people kind of fighting for these top spots. There's no way that that's gonna continue because even if something is, 5% not as good in some area, the kind of jack of all trades, I think, is gonna take it. What I really do like with Claude is I had like a baby boy 10 months ago now, and doing
Awesome.
I use Claude to like create this basically finance spreadsheet that updated based on my wife's like maternity pay and all of our different finances and things like that. I tried doing that in ChatGPT, and this was maybe a year ago or something, and it just kept getting confused. It kept getting things wrong. It's like for something like that, you can't have it like forget
Oh
about
no. Yeah.
calculation or something, right? Because it makes such a big difference. So I do feel like for me, like Claude is saved for when I want something to be like hyper accurate. I might get a subscription for a month, do something on there, and I trust it a bit more. But the thing that I found really frustrating with Claude actually was the notifications that you get, which is like when you start getting quite a long thread, that it's like create a new thread and then you'll use less of
Yeah.
your usage and stuff. And it to me it felt quite like jarring, and it's like I don't really want to have to think about that as I'm using a tool, right? ChatGPT probably do something like that in the background, like throttling or whatever, but they would never tell you, and therefore you
Yeah.
don't
Yeah. Yeah.
have to think about it, and so it just removes something from your mind that yeah, you can just use the tool and you don't get bogged down with anything.
Yeah, yeah. It always has probably changed, but it always has like open a new chat just
Yeah,
to avoid any further credit usage or any sort
yeah.
of limitations. Yeah, in terms of UX,
Not
that's
great.
not ideal. But
No.
but I would say that's a life-saving use case. That's a really
Yeah,
good use case.
yeah. It's awesome. I highly recommend it. Yeah, I still use it now.
Yeah, amazing. So, Andy, let's start off with we already started in a way, but let's just go into more like creative stuff, and especially on the visual side. Um, how did this whole journey started? Was it before joining Future Deluxe? Did you always have this future forward focus in your on a personal level and also professional level? How did this thing all started?
Yeah, it's a really, really good question. So I think going back to before I went to university, I was always like fascinated with like understanding why. And that initially started, it makes me sound like such a loser, and I probably was a loser, but I remember I was watching TV and I would find the adverts more interesting than the show I was watching, because I would like trying to understand like what are they doing here? Why are they doing this with this product, or why have they chosen this person, or like what is the reason that they've done this advert? Like I really enjoyed the kind of psychology behind it. So uh, I went to uni. I did business and marketing. I thought I wanted to go into advertising, and that's what I was really interested in. But in addition to that, I was always a bit of a geek in terms of like really interested in technology. Yeah, a bit of a geek in like trying to understand how these different technologies worked and things like that. So after being at uni, I got an amazing placement while I was there at Mercedes Benz. Worked in their advertising team, um, and I realized that I really wanted to be on the agency side, where these kind of decisions were happening, where you're able to kind of think more or like create that work rather than kind
Yeah.
of like oversee it and look after it from the brand perspective. And yeah, after I graduated, I started working in agencies, and I the projects that I was really, really interested in were the ones where they used like an interesting piece of technology that I didn't understand how it worked. So right in my first agency, Tommy, I became really good friends with the and still am with the technical director there. a guy called Farhad, who I would just like sit with and just get him to explain in layman's terms like what these different technologies did. And we were creating, fun microsites and doing clever things with like web applications and things like that.
Yeah.
And what I was fascinated with is like understanding under the hood, like how did this work? How did these like workflows interact with each other? And it was always, I think I've always loved that. I've always loved having a good enough understanding of those kind of technologies that I can explain it to someone else in layman's terms. But I quite enjoyed having the kind of oversight role and not getting necessarily my hands dirty in coding and all that sort of thing.
Hmm.
But it meant that, after I was at Tommy, I worked at Media Monks before kind of Media Monks turned to Investable Capital and then Monks and things. So back then it was like people came to Media Monks when everyone else said this project is impossible. And so it was perfect for me because it meant that what I loved doing, which was like understanding how all these complicated technologies worked and everything like that. I just got to do that every day, and we got to basically solve things that had never been done like every day, and it was a
Awesome.
wild, wild ride, but like absolutely amazing from that perspective. And so, I've always been interested in AI because I'm a sci-fi geek. There's so much AI and sci-fi and everything like that. I'll be honest, like, did I think it was going to happen in our lifetime? Like, probably not. I thought it was like
Yeah.
something that
So distant. So distant.
exactly. Maybe maybe like when I'm 90 or something, I'm gonna hear
Yeah.
about the fact that an AI is coming.
Just some hints. Just some hints.
Exactly. It's what an exciting time to be alive. And I think
Yeah.
that yeah, I worked at a few different places after that. Worked at Nexus Studios doing amazing like mixed reality work, lots of prototype work for Meta, again within that kind of technology space. And then after that, I joined Territory Studio, and that was getting really hands on like my first massive AI project that we were doing, and yeah, got to just do more of that like never been done before technology projects, which was really really good fun. But while I was at Territory, it was like Midjourney started. You started seeing these images kind of crop up, and there was loads of kind of talk about it. And then at the same time, ChatGPT was like launched, and people were playing around with that. And it just, for me, it just like clicked. It was just like, oh my God, this is going to
This
be
is happening.
huge. Like this is going to be absolutely enormous.
Yeah.
And I found it so strange in like the first few months because I guess it's like my entire framing have been, watching sci-fi films and everything like that, and like so many of them have this premise, right? It kind of like starts with this
It's almost like
absolute
a deja vu. It's almost like a deja
exactly.
vu, you know?
So for me, I was just like, people were talking about the fact that the quality wasn't good enough and it couldn't do this and it couldn't do that, and I was like, that's almost irrelevant. Like, can you guys not see that this is now
Yeah.
this is started? It's going to set off this chain of events where things are just going to snowball and snowball and snowball. So I got massively into Midjourney. Like I don't want to think how many like hundreds of hours I spent um creating loads of things late at night, just like staying up, just like one more variation. Uh
It's addictive. I was
it
actually
is
talking to a friend of mine the other day, and he was really impressed. It was like first time ever seeing how the whole interaction with the platform is,
nice.
and he was like, "Oh, this is addictive."
Yeah,
Because even like with a single generation, especially on Midjourney, you have
yeah,
four different variations.
exactly.
It's unstoppable, unstoppable.
Yeah,
You just want to do more and more, in at least in terms of curiosity.
yeah, yeah.
Let's see where this goes. You
100%.
already have your result, but you're really curious about how the AI model is going to evolve through the prompts, through
Yeah,
just variations and everything. It's impressive and addictive.
definitely. And I think for me as well, it was the fact that I had, managed teams of designers, I'd managed teams of developers, but I never had the tools where I could, like I just love how their prompt is like imagine. It was just
Yeah,
when I first got access to it and it was like imagine, it's like wow,
best way to phrase it.
it's so
Best way
good.
to phrase it.
It's like I have a million ideas in my head. I just
Yeah,
want to
yeah.
like see what it creates. And I love those early days as well because I think the early versions had such a lovely aesthetic to them as well. They had a really lovely art style.
Definitely.
that I really enjoyed. It just felt as if you were yeah, just exploring something new for the first time. So yeah, I just started posting loads of stuff on LinkedIn about Midjourney, and it just kind of like took off from then. And I think it's yeah, it's turned into like an obsession really with anything AI related.
Yeah.
Um, that I just think it's for me, it's just really exciting to see how fast the technology is developing, but also like I find myself in this kind of halfway point where you have people who think it's like the most overhyped technology in the world, and then you've got other people on the other spectrum that um, think that it's the end of human creativity and think it's like the end of everything that we know. And so I find myself kind of trying to um, make like both people aware that like you can have a middle ground. It can
Yeah.
not be
Yeah.
either of those. And
Hmm.
now I feel like as things develop, and it ties really nicely into what FutureDeluxe believes, which is the fact that like it's an amazingly powerful tool. I don't think it's going to replace all of the other kind of legacy tools that we have, but it's something that you shouldn't ignore, and it's something that in the right hands can create amazing, amazing things. So yeah, I love it. I just love seeing how quickly it's developing, and yeah, I know that in 6 months' time, you know, if we revisit this, it's just going to completely have changed again.
If we have like monthly
Yeah,
conversations,
yeah,
every single conversation will be different.
yeah. That's very true. Very true.
Yeah, it's really impressive. And I would say let's just go into the topic of Feature Deluxe.
Mm,
The way I see it, like outside perspective, looking at what you guys are doing in terms of work and also the
mm,
website, any sort of content that comes out, it's like a match with your own personality, with your
mm,
tech-oriented focus and
mm.
approach. I feel that, right? Is it that's a
Yeah.
fact, right? That's a fact. There's so you guys are so focused on cutting edge technology, exploring all these different technologies
Mm,
in terms of creation, both commercially and also artistically, which I
yeah.
find really amazing. But I would say that just the way you were talking about yourself, your personality, your tech-oriented approach,
Mm.
professionally speaking, it feels like a match. It feels like a
It
match.
is. It's a. I feel very fortunate to work at FutureDeluxe because it is truly. It looks fantastic from the outside. It's like a magical place to work on the inside as well.
Yeah.
Just because everyone I work with are just genuinely lovely, lovely people. Um, and yeah, they're just all fantastic to work with. But I think, I mean, being at Future Deluxe has like taught me loads of things as well. It's not, I don't, I think there's been some really interesting things that I've learned since I've been here. But I think that like experimentation at its absolute core, and there we have this initiative called Future Play, which is 2 to 3 days a month. All the artists across the studio. We try and do it in sort of EPs in production as well, but mostly for the artists, 2 to 3 days a month where they just get to explore anything that they want. The only rule is that they have to post it on our Slack channel, what the
Hmm.
result is, whether it's good, whether it's bad, what they learn. And so we just have this incredible flow of like really experimental, innovative, brand new aesthetics where people build off each other, and someone's like, "Oh, I tried this crazy new workflow using like this new tool." And then someone else picks up on that and develops it into something else. And I don't think I truly understood like how powerful giving artists and creatives like space to kind of think and experiment, like what that actually does. And I think that even when I joined and I was hearing about it, I was like, oh, that's a cool initiative. But in the
Yeah.
back of my head, thinking like, that's a nice to have. Like that doesn't
It's
really
a
like,
perk. It's a perk
yeah,
almost.
exactly.
Yeah.
But since I've been here like over a year now, and I can't believe how integral it is to all of the projects that we do. And I think that for me, the reason why our projects look so different, they look so fresh, they're like, you know, product films, launch films that you just haven't seen anything like it before, is because we never want to kind of create the same thing twice.
Yep.
Everything has to have its own complete unique style and aesthetic. And you could take any artist in the studio, and every single person has their own unique style. And so there's so much thought that gets put into how can we put together a team where not everyone's, everyone has a different aesthetic, and therefore the project gets pulled in different directions, and that's really beneficial to the creative. And it just means that what you end up with is this, just yeah, you've never seen something like it before, because it's just
Yep.
using 30 different techniques intertwined in different ways, and it just creates this fantastic, yeah, fresh approach.
Yeah. Everything sounds amazing. Really, really exciting. Can you, for all those that are just watching this, can you just give us like a quick overview of what kind of stuff you guys doing?
Yes.
Like AI, spatial, hybrid production, installations even. Can you just give us like a big picture?
Absolutely, will do. So the way that we talk about ourselves is we're a design studio, and that is because essentially top tier high fidelity, super high fidelity design goes through everything that we do. We've got three main pillars. So moving image is the kind of bread and butter of what we do, which is like super high fidelity CG, indistinguishable from photos. I think we'll see when we have a look at the Beats project, you cannot tell which is a CG shot and which is a live
Amazing.
action shot.
It's
It's
true. It's true. It's true. I can attest to that.
within moving image as well. We do live action when it has a kind of design or like visual effects element to it, when it's kind of like pushing the visual boundaries and things. So everything within that kind of experimental space. Um, and then, so on the immersive side, which is more of where my background comes from in terms of technology and things like that. Within immersive, the kind of three main things that we look after are installations, spatial, and AI. So installations being we do really fun exploratory ways of bringing technology to life. We launched TensorFlow with Google through an interactive experience for like developers. We launched Samsung AI with Samsung and Vogue at New York Fashion Week last year. So
Awesome.
when there's kind of a technology that is being released, we're really good at kind of creating installations around showing how that technology can be used rather than just kind of talking about it.
Hmm.
On the spatial side of things is one of these sad things that almost all the work that we've done on there is stuff that isn't publicly released, which is a
Okay.
real shame. But we're working with the best companies in the spatial space, whether that's through like R&D prototyping or putting together design systems and things like that. It's incredible work. We can't show or talk any about any of it, which is a shame. And then AI, which is like a massive focus for me, obviously,
Hmm.
which is just keeping the team up to date on all the latest tools, being involved in any projects where we feel like there is an interesting use of AI we could use,
Hmm.
collecting those different use cases across the studio, making sure that we have like different Slack channels where people are able to kind of share that knowledge.
Yeah.
So the kind of unofficial like AI ambassador, trying to just get people to think about whether we can use it in different ways.
Hmm.
And then the kind of third pillar that we have is research, which goes across everything that we do really. But research is where we're just completely pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And this can be FutureDeluxe kind of funded projects where we're like, we did one recently, for example, with Stable Diffusion and Houdini and Unreal Engine, where we were like, right, everyone's talking about AI, everyone's talking about Stable Diffusion. Let's use it on a project and understand like the best use case of it. Had some amazing learnings on that. It's called
Amazing.
Playtime with Bernie. It's on the website for people to have a look at. And then the other arm of what we do on the research side is work with tech brands. It's usually not anything that can go live like publicly from us, but working with technology brands when they have a new technology, they're not sure how to launch it or the best use case for it. We come in, work as an extension of their team for a few months and ideate with them, put together like visual explorations around how they can explain that technology in visual ways is some of the most fun and interesting work that I think that we do. And often, as is the case, loads of that work is like behind an NDA door that you can never
Of
talk
course.
about.
Yeah. Of course.
Word from it.
Yeah. Wow. So much stuff happening. So much stuff happening. Really exciting. In terms of projects, in terms of clients, dealing with clients, do clients come up with some ideas in terms of medium, or is it just free reign in terms of, hey guys, we
Yeah.
want to push really this in terms of cutting edge technology, just help us out finding the best way to do this.
Mm.
Is it like that? And also, can you just give us some idea in terms also in terms of expectation, like
Yeah,
what kind
yeah.
of expectations clients have, especially with AI versus reality
Mm.
versus reality.
Yeah, yeah. No, really good question. So, firstly, the way that we try and position ourselves is for us, the best kind of brief is when it's an open brief. And what I mean by that is we try to differ ourselves from a production company. So if a client has storyboards and they know exactly how something's going to work, we're not going to do as good a job as
Hmm.
like there are post houses, there are
Makes
production
sense.
houses, they're set up for
Yep.
that, they'll just run with it. What we
Makes sense.
like and the way that we frame ourselves is like technology agnostic. So we won't ever start a project and be like, right, we're going to make this in Cinema 4D or we're going to make this in Houdini. What we like is we like a client coming to us saying, right, this is the product we're launching, or this is the problem that we have, or this is the perception we have in the industry. We think like the ideas that we've been exploring are X, Y, and Z, and we like them because of this reason. We don't like this one because of that reason. But we like things being open in terms of like what that end deliverable is going to be, but also
Yeah.
the aesthetic that is going to be used. That ties in really well because for all of our projects, the way that we approach them is with an R&D phase up front. So what that is it's usually a 2 to 4 week phase, depending on the size of the project. And this is very strange for me when I first joined as well, because I'm so used to like putting together mood boards, putting together
Yeah.
storyboards,
Yeah.
not making stuff until you've like got things signed off.
Yeah. That's the
But
standard way, I would say.
yeah, at FutureDeluxe
Yeah.
it's completely different. So essentially, an R&D phase might be made up of like between 4 to 6 artists, creative director included, because they're making things as well.
Hmm.
And the team are briefed, and it's like, right, here's the brief. Go away, decide how you think this should be brought to life, and then tomorrow you'll like present your initial thinking to the team, and then the team will ideate and work off each other, and then we'll just create more and more and more. And then
Yep.
after the first week, you just have this deck full of like 80 to 90% there, like production quality, motion tests, and explorations and
Amazing.
stills. And
Amazing.
it just the first project I was on, it just blew my mind. They're presenting to the client, and like I'm as amazed as the client because I'm just like, "Oh, we did this in a week.
Is this
Crazy."
possible? Is this the
But
way people work here?
yeah, but I think what's so amazing about it is, like I was mentioning before, because everyone has quite a different, everyone's got their own aesthetic, everyone's got their own vision on how things should be. You just end up with this really, really varied variety of work, and it really clearly lets the client decide, like, right, I love that, I hate that, don't go anywhere
Yeah.
near that, I really like this kind of thing. Can you mold these together? I feel like for me, so much of the challenges that I've had in projects previous to Future Deluxe is persuading a client that the way that you're going to do things is going to look great. And there's so much like mood boards, storyboards, explaining how they're going to feel when something happens. And it's unless you have a client that is really good at visualizing that, often you won't ever do like a perfect job at that.
Yep.
So what is so amazing about this approach is like rather than just describing what they're going to get, you're just like this,
Here it
and
is. Here it is. Have a
yeah,
look.
the client could go, "Wow, that's amazing," or that's too far off.
Yeah.
So there's been so many projects that we've worked on where the brief is completely changed based on what the team have created in that initial R&D phase, which is just really exciting, and I think a testament to how well the process works.
Perfect.
But yeah, in terms of clients' expectations and things like that, like we're having it more now that clients are specifically approaching us and saying, right, we think that we want to use like Gen AI tools. Like, what's an interesting way of doing that? Um, our response to that is, yeah, essentially, let's have a look at the brief. Let's understand like what maybe it will be required. Maybe there's ways that we can do it through other procedural tools that are more legacy
Yeah.
based that aren't Gen AI, but they're still going to get to like a similar sort of result. So we try and always explain and educate clients around the fact that for us, we want to go in not thinking this is how we're going to make it. We want to give the team a chance to explore, bring to life
Keep it
different
open.
things, and then we'll create something amazing. And it might be the fact that as Beats, for example, like we used AI in a really interesting way, or it might be the fact that actually we can get to that result and we don't need to use Gen AI.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, it's a real kind of like balance depending on the project.
How was the experience with Beats? Let's talk about that, and then we can actually show a snippet of the video. Can you just give us like some background info on the process? What they were looking for?
Yeah,
Was it a
yeah.
product launch in this case?
Yeah, so product launch. This was run out of our LA office, combining our New York and LA office. So Maria, our MD in LA, has a great relationship with Beats. We've done projects with them in the past, and Raj, who was the creative director on the project, um, just did an absolutely phenomenal job. Yeah, bringing to life all these different kind of techniques and different aesthetics and things like that. Um, but yeah, it was. I think it's a real testament to that kind of R&D process that I initially sort of like run through. What was really lovely about this project is the fact that often what happens is that the team are exploring different approaches and techniques in future play, and they might be not quite like production ready yet, but they understand that okay, if I'm using Gaussian splatting combined with like an iPhone scan of like a 3D object, a human in this instance, um, I can get a really interesting visual result.
Yeah.
Now, what Raj was phenomenal at doing on this project was bringing to life all these different explorations that we had done in future play from like different studios and different artists, and just having this incredible vision of I think I can combine loads of these, and I don't know how he does it because I wouldn't be able to do it. But
It's a
have
great combo. It's a
it's
great combo.
incredible.
Yeah.
But just be able to know in his head that right, this is the way I'm going to approach it,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I know that by combining all these different approaches together and aesthetics and everything like that, we're going to get this amazing result. And I mean, yeah, the team did a phenomenal job on it. Like Raj was directing the live action shoot as well. So
Yeah.
we had a phantom camera, super slow mo, so get these incredible shots of the athletes doing different things. But yeah, sorry, taking a step
It's
back,
beautiful.
it's
Yeah.
um it's for Powerbeats Pro 2, which is their new headphones that they're launching that are all around basically being like the best headphones you can get for athletes. So they have like a heart rate monitor in the headphones, and
Yeah.
they're made for like getting super sweaty, whether you're doing like different sports or gym or that kind of thing. And they just are like super comfortable, but like will never leave from your ears as well. So no matter what you're doing, they're gonna stay locked in. Um, and I think what's amazing about this film is that having it as a brief in terms of like the amount of technical detail we have to get across, the amount of features that we need to bring out. There have been so many of these kind of product films in the past where like it's a meaty long video. I think when I first posted it on LinkedIn, it was like, look, 3.5 minutes. I know is impossible to normally ask people to watch. This is good enough. Like, please, like, give it your
It's worth
time.
it. It's worth it. Yeah.
And like, yeah, like kudos to Raj and Maria and the whole team on it because it has this amazing ability to keep you engaged and keep you interested while giving you these what could be seen as quite like boring stats in terms of like battery life and how much smaller it is and all these
Benefits. Yeah, yeah.
exactly. And so I think for me, it's just a real masterclass in how to tell those kind of stories, tell those kind of facts about a product in a way that like a consumer is going to watch that and they're not going to feel as if they've watched a technical product film, but
Yeah.
they will have got all that information, but in a way that just feels so fresh and exciting that you don't mind watching it again because you just want to see all the
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's super engaging, and I would even say immersive, especially with the audio. The
yeah,
audio is amazing. The audio is amazing. So
yeah.
blending both, I mean, you did a fantastic job. Let me just screen share here so we can share with the audience. Just a snippet, not the full one. I'll then add the link on the newsletter post, but
Nice.
just so people can have a snippet. It's definitely worth it.
First launched in 2010, Powerbeats is the best-selling fitness headphone of all time. Now, after relentless testing and evolution, Powerbeats Pro 2 is ready for action, and it's the most advanced product we've ever built. The perfect fitness headphone starts with the perfect fit. That's why we conducted over 1,500 hours of rigorous testing. The result, even for the world's greatest athletes, Powerbeats Pro 2 stays locked in, and it will for you too. Even with all its added features, it's now 20% lighter. The ear hook is rebuilt with a nickel titanium alloy for unbeatable grip, comfort, and flexibility. And it comes with the most ear tip sizes we've ever offered. All to make sure it holds strong for ears of all shapes and sizes. Powerbeats Pro 2 delivers powerful sound and technology to match any training environment and any athlete. It works seamlessly with both Apple and Android. To give you truly personalized sound, we included adaptive EQ.
Amazing. It's such an amazing visual experience. And I love the fact that, as you just said, mentioning facts is done in a way that is really subtle. It's
Yeah,
not like pushing like benefits in terms of battery life or anything. It's just really mixed up with the actual visual experience.
yeah.
So it's a different way of doing it, I would say.
Really
It's
agree.
beautiful. It's beautiful.
What I love so much about it as well is the fact that I think the team was so good at being able to visualize some of these kind of it ties back to what I love, right? Like, but visualizing these interesting technical features. For example, there's a part of the film which is about like its adaptive sound EQ profile, and the fact that when you're running in a city, it's gonna like dampen that outside noise a bit more than when you're inside a gym or that kind of thing. But the way that it like visually shows how that technology works, just like immediately without having to explain it to someone, you get what that technology does,
Yeah,
and it's not
perfect.
explaining it,
Exactly,
it's just
exactly.
visually showing it. And that for me is like, I guess I've never thought about it this way, but I think the reason why I love that so much, it's like I love explaining complicated technology in layman's terms. This is like one step further from that, where it's like explaining complicated technology in a visual that you don't
Exactly.
need voiceover on, and someone would immediately understand what the technology does. That for me is just like, yeah, I think Raj and the team who worked on it are just they're magicians.
Authentic magicians. Yeah, amazing. There's another project, right? You wanted to
Yes.
share with the audience. Can you just give us an
Yeah.
idea of what it is, what kind of technology you
Yeah.
guys used?
This is one of those projects that I was so sad that I wasn't personally involved in this one, because it is like an absolute dream project that I think anyone could ever get. Essentially, this project is called Poiesis, and in a nutshell, the client came to us and said, um, I want to create an experience where I fly through the universe, and I'm flying through different planets and solar systems and black holes, and I never want to see the same thing twice. The client has this massive 8 meter wide screen in their office where this is just continually playing, and it plays without any human interaction. It's set up, and yeah, what the team were able to achieve is, I think, just it's just crazy. 122,500 hours of bespoke like footage essentially has been created.
Wow.
It's all created in real time. We've got a system that 20 seconds before it's shown on screen, we've got these clever algorithms working in the background, creating these different terrains, weather systems, alien fauna, solar systems, all these kind of things that just means that every second that is playing is completely unique and won't be seen again.
Awesome.
And yeah, what I love about this project so much is that the team still receive like texts from the client saying, "Oh, this is a really nice one with like a photo or like a video of it." And
Yeah.
the funny thing is that they're never going to see that again. So
Yeah, exactly.
it's lovely that they liked it, but like, yeah, it's a shame because there's you're never.
Literally unique. It actually reminds me of. Have you seen the documentary on Brian Eno?
I'm not sure. No, I don't think so.
Eno has pretty much the same method. So they captured a lot of footage, like endless hours of footage with the musician and producer,
Right.
and then each screening is different
Nice.
and is unique. So
Yeah, yeah.
each screening is a unique experience. So in a way, the way you were talking about the process, it reminded me of that creation as well.
Nice.
I haven't seen it before, but I love the concept. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. The whole uniqueness in a literal way.
I mean, imagine this, right? They bring anyone into that office and they're able, what a talking point to be able to say that what you're looking at here is not only something that no one else has ever seen, but no one else will ever see.
Yeah.
Like that, it's just such a special thing to be able to say. But I just think it's like
Yeah.
a technical marvel what the team were able to do on it as well. So yeah, it's just, I think, one of my favorite projects of all time.
Awesome. Let us share a snippet so people can have a look.
Yeah, everything on here, never going to see again. Obviously,
It's beautiful.
But yeah, it's the fact that on this everything is correct from like a physics angle. So the team did loads of explorations and worked with physicians and scientists and everything like that to basically make sure that it's like, right, okay, when the system is creating this solar system or they're creating one of those beautiful shots where you've got, a planet, what you're seeing on the planet isn't just like a random concoction of like, right, this is a cool color, this is a cool like cloud formation. It's like it's all
Yeah.
based around the real physics. So it's like, right, okay, you're creating this planet, it's in this solar system, it has these different forces that are acting against it. What's the chance that it's going to be a gas giant, or what's the chance that it would have had water at some point? So it's amazing, and it's a project that keeps evolving over time, and we've just added in weather systems, added in new
Amazing.
different alien fauna. So yeah, it's just an absolute dream project where it's like technically it's an absolute marvel, but I think this kind of ties back to what is so important at Future Deluxe is like visually it looks beautiful. It's called like a real time artwork because it's meant to be that. You're meant to just be able to
Yeah.
watch that on a massive screen and just be like mesmerized for as long as you watch it.
And if you think about it, it's almost like real life.
Yeah,
Some
yeah,
things happen every single day, every single time,
yeah,
but it's almost like replicating the real life experience.
yeah.
And I love that.
I
I
never
love
thought
it.
about it that way, but that's so true. Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
showing how beautiful like nature is, essentially. Yeah,
exactly.
100%.
Love it. Andy, we're actually, yeah, at the end of the conversation. I would love to talk more about all your creations. What you guys are doing is mind blowing. It's not a cliche to say it. It's really mind blowing and also inspiring because I can clearly feel that you guys are pushing for this whole cutting edge technology and experimenting, as you said previously. It's all about experimentation,
Mm.
and it's just fascinating to see you guys working. Really, really great. Andy, thank you so much for the chat.
Yeah, no worries.
It
Chatting.
was a pleasure.
Mhm.
Do you have any ending thoughts you would like to share with the audience before you go?
Oh, that's a good question. I think the one thing I would say, and people might get bored of me posting all about it all the time on LinkedIn, but if there's one thing I would want people to think is that I don't just have a little bit of optimism around AI. I really feel like it's going to do us far more good than bad, and I feel like as the founder of Google like summed it up perfectly where he was just like I've never been so excited to work in technology, and that for
Yeah.
me is like I feel like what a lucky time we're living in that people in 50 years time will look back and be like you were there at like the dawn of AI when it like first started. For me is just incredibly exciting, so I hope other people can think about optimistically about how it's going to develop as well. There are obviously things that we need to get sorted, but yeah, I think if people are just a little bit optimistic, then I will be feeling a lot happier.
Awesome. We're on the same boat. We're on the same boat. I'm also a sci-fi nerd, so
Nice.
we're also on the same boat on that perspective.
Great.
Thank you so much once again, Andy, and for everyone who's watching. Thank you so much as well for joining this conversation. Until next time, have a good one.